All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about how to get started with your magazine cover, and we're going to do that in Adobe InDesign. And for this one, we're going to create a new document, and we'll choose a print, and we are going to do let's just do a letter for this one. Keep it basically a sheet of paper. This is what we're left with. And the first thing that I probably want to do is set up some guides. So I'm going to go to my layout and create some guides. And if you hit preview, I like to have some guides just to kind of help me plan things out. And I think we set this to margins and kind of getting it into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 squares. You might even go even bigger. You can change the gutter. Let's make the gutter a little bit smaller. Maybe just 6 pixels. So if we set this to 8 and 6, kind of gives us a nice little grid system layout. And that could be helpful just to kind of set everything up and keep it organized and clean. The next thing I'm going to do is just take a rectangle and stick it. Actually, no, I'll use, I'll use a rectangle and I'll stick it back here. And you can fill it in with whatever color you want. There's not a lot of options right now, as you're aware, because you haven't set it like a color scheme yet. But I'm just gonna replace this with a picture. So I'm thinking about a magazine cover. So I'm just gonna Google magazine cover, and I see that a lot of them have kind of like a grayish background. Some of them have like things. So you could make something like that in Photoshop. Some of them just have a solid color like that. I'm just gonna go ahead and just find one in Pixabay. This chalk one's kind of cool. I'll just download it, and the higher the resolution, the better. Although that might be overkill because it's actually higher resolution than my entire graphic. So, goodness, I gotta do all this. I'm not a robot, I promise. There we go. So now, how do I get this into InDesign? What I'm going to do is just, if I select this square, so it's selected, I'm going to do a file place, and then I can place, whatever that I've downloaded. So there it is. And you'll notice it's going to be really big. If you click on it, it's way bigger than the frame. So this blue square is my frame, but if I click on this is the actual image. Easiest way for me is if you right click, you can go fitting, content aware fit, it'll stick it in there. And I could probably also rotate this and then just, normally I don't want to stretch an image because it'll distort it, but since it's just the background, it shouldn't matter too much. If you tap W, you'll get rid of those grids, so you can, those squares, so you can see what you're doing. Just tap W. And let's make sure the resolution is nice and high. So I'm going to go to View, Display Performance, and then High Quality Display. So there's my background. Maybe I want it to be a little lighter. Let me just pull the opacity down a bit. Let's do something like this. Okay, that's fine. It might be kind of nice to blur it a little bit too. I wonder if I can do that under, if I have any filters here under Object Effects. I don't know if blur is an option in this program. A basic feather. I wonder if that'll do it. Let's preview that. Nope, that's just the edges. Yeah, I'll leave it alone for now. Okay, let's go ahead and lock this. Let me get my layers out, and I'm just going to lock this up. If you don't see your layers, just go to Window Layers. They'll be right there. Okay, now I'm going to create a rectangle image frame. This is for putting images in, and I will fill up the whole screen, and I'm going to do a file place for that picture that I exported of myself. This should be a PNG file, and it should fit right in there, and it's obviously too big, so there's my mouth. Once again, I can right-click, Fitting, Content Aware Fit, and it will stick it right in there where I want it to go. And you might say, you know what, I want to crop this up a little bit. Go to Selection Mode, get it so you see the orange one, and you could say, I want this to be bigger. Now make sure you hold down Shift as you resize this so that you keep it proportional. You don't want to stretch your image. So maybe I want my magazine cover to look more like that. And you can get some ideas of, the framing if you look at some other pictures. Yeah, I'm actually going to keep it a little smaller. And you can see like where is the head. Usually it's about a third of the way up. So you probably want the eyes to be right about here as far as, thinking about framing it. And I'm pretty happy with that. Now, what's kind of cool is when you do your magazine title, let's get a text box out here. And I'll just write title for this. You can stick that, I'm going to have to go really big, 200. Let's go 250. You can stick this text frame underneath your portrait and it'll kind of do this effect, which is what you see a lot of times in magazines. So, oops, I'm going to lock myself right now so I can get through there. And to center the title, go ahead and just stick it all the way on each side. And then under the paragraph options, you can just align center. If your tools aren't over here and they're on top instead, you might want to change your workspace. Just go to Window Workspace and choose Essentials. So then we got our title. Now, as far as like the font and the color and stuff, that's all gonna be up to you. You'll set that up later. But I'm just gonna set the title right here. For now, I'm just gonna pick that color, and it's kind of cool. If you have a little bit, you don't want it to be so obscure that you can't even see what your title is. But it's kind of cool when in magazines all the time, they will have the title kind of covering up by the face. Like you see an L in Vogue. Not always, though. Sometimes it's in front. But it does give you a sense of proportion and layering. We like overlap. That's always a nice thing. Okay, now that I got that, the next thing I want to do is I want to set up some text box frames and some headlines. So I'm going to just create, we'll just call this headline 1 for now. And then I'm going to create another text box underneath here. And I'm just going to fill it with some placeholder text. But do that by going up to Type and then choose Fill with placeholder text. So this is going to be our first headline. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up some paragraph styles. So I'm going to select this headline and I'm going to create a new paragraph style and I'm going to call this headline, just call it headline. And anytime I want to change the way this looks, I'm going to want to make sure that oops, I didn't do it. Headline, enter. There we go. I want to make sure that I use headline for all my headlines so that they all stay consistent. So for example, let's say I decide I'm going to go with this font for the headline, which I would not recommend, but let's just do it. And I'm going to go with white. Ooh, that's really hard to read. Let me try a different one. Okay, so that's going to be my headline. That's probably a bit big. And again, if you're not sure exactly how big to make it, go online and look at other examples. So this is headline 1. And now what I want to do is redefine this style by clicking on this button. And that's going to say, hey, this is what I want headline 1 to look like. So highlight this and then select that. The next thing you're going to do is select this section down here. And you're going to create a new paragraph style right here by clicking on this plus.